Coming now, come on. Time's up. Time's up.
Hello, everybody, and thank you guys for joining us again on Planet Podcast. My name is Victor Vrba, and I am joined with my good friend Jeff Young. Jeff, how's it going today? How was your Halloween today? This last weekend, buddy?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Weather cooperated. Started raining a little later in the evening. It was cool as usual, but no, everything was great.
Did you guys get a lot of trick-or-treaters this year?
We did. This year we did the scapegoat a little bit. We kind of put the bucket out and let the kids take their own. Decided to have some friends over, have a little bit of an adult party on Halloween. So cocktails, barbecue, that kind of thing.
Excellent. You guys pass out
But the candy
beers?
was gone. The candy was gone at the end of the night. So whether it was the first kid or the last one,
Did you guys pass out any adult beverages to the parents?
No, we didn't. We put everything out in the front yard and we locked off into the backyard and had music playing and just kind of hung out there.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah, we did a little bit of the same, man. You know, my kids are still younger, so we did kind of the trick-or-treating thing. Nice thing about our neighborhood, though, is, you know, everywhere you go, there's somebody sitting in the driveway with a fire pit and a case of beer. So they're all just like, yeah, you know, beer. I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't remember trick-or-treating being like that when I was growing up.
No, it's a lot cooler now.
I don't remember the adults having such a good time.
Yeah. But we are not here to talk about trick-or-treating today as much as I could go on and on about trick-or-treating. So I want to thank everybody for joining us again, and thank you guys for all your recommendations that we've got on Planet Variphy for, you know, shows. One of the things that we are here to talk a little bit about today is some CUBE analytics and CUBE and voice gateways. And, you know, one of the things, Jeff, that always kind of, got me, I guess, as we started, you know, delving into, you know, CUBE analytics and things like that is, like, I understand the CUBE piece of it, and I understand how it controls the routing, but a lot of that from a licensing perspective it's really just a voice gateway, right, with a CUBE license.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me a little bit about, I guess, from that CUBE license perspective, I mean, what's really the difference? What is the CUBE piece versus just having the voice gateway?
Yeah, so the when you talk to a lot of voice people, right, you'll hear voice engineers will refer to that voice gateway, that router with a voice feature set. And then, you know, there's also a license that goes on it to basically enable the SIP functionality, the CUBE functionality. So it's really just a feature license that allows you to terminate basically SIP connections onto that. That's really the biggest thing that separates a traditional voice gateway, which may just have POTS lines or a PRI terminating. The CUBE license then allows you to have the SIP functionality.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's a lot of where the I guess the logic and the technology behind having that CUBE license is going to dictate, I guess, a little bit more of how those calls go to your different SIP gateways throughout your different organizations and things like that, as opposed to a call just coming in and going out of PRI. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, essentially. So it's just a different connection mechanism, basically, from the provider. There's still POTS lines floating around. People keep those for various things.
Fax machines, man. Fax is number one.
Faxing is one. Overhead paging systems, a lot of those now you can run SIP trunks directly to off of Call Manager. But, in your manufacturing plants, you've got maybe an overhead paging system that's been there for 30 years and it just works and people don't want to touch it. So, you can have all those analog connections for internal communication only or for internal to external. But, it's really... When I was on the deployment side, it seemed like we were migrating people from, the traditional PRIs that everybody loved off onto SIP connections fairly regularly.
Okay, and that's something that I think we see a lot of now and still to this day. It's funny because we're talking about this, and I actually had a customer this week that was pinging me, and they weren't, it wasn't a product-related question, but, they had switched over to SIP gateways, and they they had a lot of fax machines, and they're like, all of a sudden our fax machines aren't working. They're like, have you had anybody run into this before? And I'm like, well, I'll be honest with you, man. A lot of people that I see, a lot of people that I see with fax machines continue to use the old lines and the PRIs, just because of the fax machine. Whether it's a compatibility with SIP technology or what, but I do see a lot of that, that older technology sticking with the fax machines.
Yep. And faxing, again, for collab engineers, right? We've heard for 10, 15 years that faxing's going away. I guess I'm kind of sold on that it's never going away.
Yeah.
And sure, there can definitely be compatibility from your provider coming in, not supporting, particular, codecs for faxing, different protocols for faxing. So you can run into challenges even when you port all your numbers over and try to do some kind of faxing. So it's one of those, I would always recommend to people as we were migrating to PRIs, always get a couple numbers from the ISP, test numbers. It's kind of surprising how many providers don't just provide that out of the gate, so you can do some testing on that circuit, that you still have to ask for it. But if they're we see it a lot in financial, we see it a lot in healthcare, which is the faxing piece. And if you've got those machines out there, I would always have our clients kind of do testing with the inbound fax machine, or with the inbound SIP connection, and also outbound to make sure that the connections were good and we weren't going to run into any problems when we port 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 phone numbers over, because that's not a good feeling when all of a sudden a mortgage department or something can't get faxes the day after a cut.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head there, because that's exactly what it was. Actually, healthcare industry, and they had a lot of faxes, and yeah, faxes are going to go away. We've been hearing that for years and years and years, but and they
Never
have to.
happen.
No, they have to an extent, but it's those larger corporations, those larger healthcare industry that have fax servers out there. It's not going anywhere. That logic's going to be around. So, from a CUBE perspective, one of the things that we're seeing, I'd say the most of is a lot of that troubleshooting. Having the ability to see those calls before they get to the MS Teams network, before they get to the Cisco, publisher, before they get off to the CCE and things like that. So we're seeing a lot of that type of information from back in your day in the field. Is that where you guys did a lot of your troubleshooting? Was it kind of at the front end, at the voice gateway level, at the CUBE level, or?
Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, it really depends on what the issue is, right? What we hear from the end user or the admin that we were working with. Typically, yes, the first place that I would go is the voice gateway, and I'm placing calls from my desk phone or my cell phone. One, I want to see if the call's even hitting the gateway. If it's not, then we're gonna call a provider and ask what the heck's going on. But yeah, those cause codes and that kind of thing from the voice gateway or the CUBE router are very important. And one of the things that we haven't touched on, which is why the analytics on the CUBE side are so important, is that there are typically sometimes phone numbers that hit that CUBE router that don't go to call manager. Maybe they go off to a faxing solution, or maybe they route out to a cloud contact center straight off of the router, and without the CUBE analytics. And it doesn't hit call manager, you wouldn't see that with the traditional CDR reporting package. So that's where the CUBE analytics piece really comes into play and provides that, as you mentioned, kind of a front end picture of what's happening at the point of entry to the system. Hits call manager, then we can obviously combo it with that and have kind of that full picture. But in instances where it doesn't touch call manager, we would lose visibility of it.
Time's up.
Yeah, so wrapping up on the CUBE analytics side and kind of rolling into Another new feature that we have floating around out there on our webpage for our users is analytics templates. We have introduced recently, within the past couple of weeks, analytics templates for CUBE reporting, for your traditional CDR reporting, and also the UCCX side. One of the things that we hear a lot, and Vic, I know you can attest to this, is there's no out-of-the-box reporting. What can we do in order to get some, reports built? And that's really what these templates are for.
You're absolutely right. And you're right. And I tell you what, that's terminology, or the phrase that you just used, is one of those ones that is, for me, is kind of dear to home. Look, I've been doing customer service for, I can't even remember how long I've been doing customer service, and not just in the UC world or the data analytics. So, one of the things that we've always prided ourselves here at Variphy as a company is working with our customers, and being able to build those templates. We never want anybody to just, go into the wild and have at it and not get the results that they want, because it's just not a good experience. So, we always, during a proof of concept, during a demo, we always like to make sure that the customers know that, hey, we're here to work with you because your environment is unique. I always compare Cisco environments, any UC environment, as a thumbprint, man. Every single one of them has got something different, some quirk that makes it, some twerk, you like that? some quirk that makes it unique to them. So we always love to be able to build things with our customers, and I enjoy it. I mean, anybody that knows me, seen me at a block party, a house party, or a webinar, if we start getting into building reports and talking about detail, man, I get giddy. I'm like a kid. So we always do look forward to being able to build those with our customers, make them unique to them, get the criteria that they want. But on the same idea, that's kind of where these templates came about. I love working with customers, but some customers are just like, they just kind of want that hands-off experience. They want to be able to just play with the system. But we, just jumping into any system, if I gave you, Photoshop right now and told you to have at it, you're going to waste 2 hours of your time figuring out how to do the basics. And that's a little bit of where the templates came from, is for those customers that just kind of want that hands-off experience, or, just need something to get going. That's exactly where we built these templates for. So you're right. We have some CCX ones. We've got some CDR. We've got quite a few CDR ones. We've got some CUBE ones. Nice thing about the CUBE ones is, for us, the whole CUBE thing is kind of a new baby for us. And like I said, I get giddy about this stuff. Building some of those out and hearing from our customers as we went through the beta process, and as we're starting to roll these things out, like crazy, what it is that they're looking for, understanding their call flows, how are their peer IDs being used? How are their gateways being used? How are their SIP gateways being used? Like we just talked about. So that's kind of what those templates are built around, at least for the CUBE side, is just getting a better understanding of the flow of the calls. Like you had mentioned, are calls even making it to Call Manager? Interesting thing, Call Manager doesn't tell you if a call didn't make it there. And that's where some of these CUBE templates come in, is focusing in on those calls that dropped, that you don't even know about, whether you're, whether it was going to your CCE and you're trying to run audit log reports based off of your CCED to find drop calls, or whether you're trying to run reports off your MS Teams network to find calls. If they didn't make it there in the first place, you've got to look at CUBE, and that's a little bit of what those templates for the CUBE specifically are built around, is just understanding some of that call flow, troubleshooting some of that call flow, and things like that.
Well, and I think some of the important things from the templates, with you being obviously so integrated with the support team, I don't know how many evaluations and demos you and I work with on each week, a few, more than a few, is we took, input from our SEs, obviously, hey, what are the top ones that you guys see, as well as talking to customers and getting that input. Those are the kind of items that out on Planet, right, if as an end user, or as one of our partners that maybe manages a Variphy instance for customers, adding that information out there and saying, hey, how about this as a template? How about that as a template? Anybody that's worked with us for any period of time knows that our development team is constantly working, constantly taking feedback and developing those new features. Please don't say Jeff said, but again, our development team, our SEs, and the entire organization is involved out there on planet.verify.com. Reading, taking the feedback, and pulling it into the product, adding it to real roadmaps, not the roadmap that never gets completed, but real roadmaps, and integrating that into the product.
And what, that brings up a good point, because that's also where a lot of these templates came from. Besides just SEs and customers, we want to be able to build this into product. We want to be able to give customers something to start off with. And the long-term goal is to be able to build something like this into product. But rather than just saying, hey, here's a bunch of canned reports, some of them will work for you, some of them won't, we want to be able to I guess, put that into for lack of a better word, a wizard that's going to ask you what you're looking for. And get you the information based off of your environment. The hard part out about that is, man, that's a lot of work. That's a ton of development work. It's a lot of QA to make sure you're getting the answers right. So, the interim was creating these templates. But it came from the customer suggestions, to be able to have something. And, again, like I said, long-term goal is to be able to get something into product that's going to walk your general users through just getting the report that they're looking for. Short term is we've got templates that are going to do that for them. Kudos to all of our SE team out there for really banging out those templates in a quick manner, because this came from recommendations from customers, and we got together one day and we're like, okay, we need to do something about templates. It's something that's been on the back burner for a long time, and we're always just like, well, if we're gonna do it, let's do it. Let's put it in the GUI. Let's ask questions. Let's build a wizard, and then as life changes, that those types of things unfortunately have to go to the back, and you got to start dealing with the realities of something like COVID and making sure that our product is going to be able to give customers what they need to be able to properly report how their COVID health lines are being handled and how their employees are doing from working from home, from not working from home. By the way, that's actually a template. But, so some of these longer term projects, they I don't want to say they fall to the waistline, but they fall a little bit further down the development scale where they're like, okay, we're going to work on this when we're in that part of the code, rather than, hey, we're just going to stop everything and start working on this. And that's, where those templates came from is, okay, we understand this is our long-term goal, but we've got to get something out to the customers. And the SE team literally, we got on a call within a month. We're like, okay, these are all the templates that customers are asking for. These are the templates we feel that we should, add to the system. And honestly, we banged them out in about a month and a half, and we were able to get them integrated in the product, and it's going well, man. I mean, we've seen tons of downloads for the templates. We've got a lot of feedback on the templates, the KB articles and everything, to be able to just get those out there, get those, into people's hands to be like, we didn't even know it could do this. And it's just a flip of a button or something that's automatically turned on a template, because we've heard from other customers they like that feature.
Well, and I think the thing when you run into, again, with the templates is seeing how other people and seeing the requests that other people are making sometimes may kind of spawn something in your own head that, hey, this report could be useful. Or, I can make some kind of dashboard or something out of this information that maybe, people didn't consider just because they hadn't considered it. So again, for everybody out there, these are available right in your product download section. So just like you go to download any updates for your Verify system, when you hit the product download, sign in with your account, you will see the CCX reporting templates, the CUBE Analytics reporting templates, and also the CDR reporting templates. So again, right there in product downloads, available for everybody, and you guys can just go out and grab them.
Yeah, and seriously, take advantage of those. Send us some feedback on Planet Verify. If there's something that you guys see in the template or you think would be a good template for others, put that in Planet Verify. Those are the things that we're looking at to determine what did we miss. So, get that information out there and take advantage of those. Like I said, we've had a lot of good feedback on those already. We see a lot of people downloading them. If you haven't downloaded them already, go for it. It doesn't hurt. It's just an additional report that's available for you to be able to run. One of the things we see is a lot of people learning different parts of the system that they didn't realize that they could just flip a switch and do. They've been well received, and again, kudos to the support group for being able to get those out as quick as they did, and to all of our customers for the great feedback and the assistance with developing those.
No, I think we're good. Again, we want to thank everybody for joining us. Again, please check out those templates that we've got floating around out there. If you're looking for anything from a Cube Analytics standpoint, you can post anything out on Planet. There's multiple users that are involved with Planet that have it deployed in their environment. Your sales team can obviously help you get everything set up. We look forward to talking to everybody. Any suggestions, any topics that you would like to see covered, any cocktails you would like to see Vic drink, please hit us out there on Planet, and we will do what we can to cover those topics and provide Vic with some liquid encouragement, just as long as we can get through the podcast.
Well, my glass is empty, so I'm looking for some new suggestions. So thank you guys for joining us this week. Like Jeff said, any other suggestions, hit us up on Planet Verify, and thanks again for joining us.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Time's up.